If you told me 10, 15 years ago that I would be living in Tahiti 3 months of the year, I would say you're nuts. In my earlier career, I was very much enamoured with Europe, particularly Spain and the gitana, the gypsy flamenco culture. I did a lot of painting about that. I've always painted feminine energy and pretty much celebrated a strong female persona. My paintings are very representational, they're very figurative, there's no abstraction. My work started, I wasn't aware of this, it began taking on a bit of a Polynesian feel, and this happened when I started experimenting with the idea of painting on textiles, and it began to look a little bit like tapa. My mother was an artist. She was more into fibre sculpture and weaving. She introduced me to how to paint and draw. So I was always surrounded by creativity, and it wasn't sort of like a conscious decision, it just was always really there. I'm first generation Australian, being of European background. I've always struggled with my so-called identity. I've never really felt like I've belonged in Australia, but I don't feel like I've ever belonged to the European culture either. I was at Paddington Markets one day and the director of Tahiti Tourism saw my work, mentioned that there was a residency in Tahiti. At the time, I didn't really think that much of it. One day I just thought, okay, I'm going to look for this card, and wrote him an email. Within 24 hours, I had an email back from the Meridian saying, we love your work, we'd love to sponsor you for a residency, and when can you come? From the moment I got there, I just fell in love with the place. There's this real connection to the earth and the land. They don't see a separation, they are one. All the youth practice their dancing, they sing, they play musical instruments. They're very, very proud of their culture, and that's something that really spoke to me. I am painting a lot about the Tahitians' connection with the earth and their fight really to keep hold of their traditions. They're kind of this generation that they're reaping the benefits of all the fight that was made by their predecessors. They're loving their culture, they're dancing, Tahitian language has been reintroduced into schools. It's really beautiful and positive to see. I don't want to focus on the negative aspects of the colonialism. What I think is really encouraging is that I think they're achieving a beautiful balance. Over the years, I've cultivated relationships with various models, and they're part of the whole process. They're part of the art piece because they're really excited each year. So this is actually the people I know, and they do dress like this, and this is how they like to be represented themselves. That is how they celebrate. I always have a background surface. I've been doing that for close to 20 years now. If it's a country I visit, I'll find something that's key to that country. And in Tahiti, it was the printed pario. It is still, to me, the thread that connects the modern Tahitian with their ancestors. So it's something that comes through and it reflects in their skin. So it's supposed to be keeping the traditions alive. I've now moved that into a new realm where I've been using the old imagery of Tahitians from early colonial times to the 70s. Rather than pointing out the negatives, to me I see a positive, because all the women I know in Tahiti are incredibly strong, beautiful, intelligent women who know what they want. To me, there's been a success story there. I really want to take the next body of work to that next level. I've been reading this book, Tahiti Beyond the Postcard. It looks at the image that's been sold to the world of Tahiti. One of my first exposures to this particular imagery was in the museum, the Musée de Tahiti. There's this section which has old black and white photography. And you look into them and into their eyes, and there's this real sense of sadness and loss, and it's very poignant. And I remember being fascinated the first trip I went to the museum and seeing these. There was a visual in these photographs that appealed to me, and I tend to set my models up in a similar fashion, but what I'm hoping to have achieved is that they've now taken the power back. I think it's really important we highlight how beautiful this culture is, and it's in danger. Connection to the land is part of their culture. What is going to happen to them once they've lost their actual land? It's really tragic. It's very sad. Having the incredible privilege to be able to observe a culture firsthand for 3 months at a time has been the greatest gift to me. It's really opened my eyes, opened my heart, really given me an incredible focus for my work, and I'm very grateful for that. Yes, I live in Sydney, but I think Polynesia's my home.